There was one rule everyone accepted, one belief so ingrained that neither Berlin nor Kiel nor the admirals of the Kriegsmarine bothered to question it. You do not fear old battleships. You do not fear ships older than most of your officers. And you certainly don't fear a veteran of World War I, nearly 3 decades past its prime. To Germany, it was obvious. The age of those giants was over. The future belonged to submarines, dive bombers, fast maneuver groups, and modern engineering. And in German assessments, one line appeared again and again. Warspite is obsolete, minimal threat. But in 1940, one man and one moment shattered that rule completely. And Germany discovered that the old battleship was now their worst nightmare.
Captain Sir William Tennant, 44 years old, calm, precise, a man with the steady gaze of someone who had seen war before most of his sailors were born. He had served on Warspite in peacetime and knew the ship's rhythms, quirks, strengths, and limits. He understood the faint tremors of her engines, the timing of her turrets, the microscopic play in her mechanical systems. And his ship, HMS Warspite, was officially considered a relic. Launched in 1913, blooded at Jutland, modernized repeatedly, yet still whispered about in naval offices as more symbol than weapon. Spring of 1940, the Norwegian campaign. Germany sought to seize control of the region by destroying Britain's ability to fight at sea. The fjords were death traps where the Luftwaffe hunted freely and German destroyers ambushed supply lines. The Royal Navy needed a decisive blow, not just firepower, a statement. And Tennant set course for Narvik, where German destroyers moved through the narrow waters with confidence. He knew his ship was massive, conspicuous, hard to maneuver in tight spaces. He knew the Luftwaffe was waiting. He knew every expert believed the old ship was nothing but a target. But he went anyway, because this moment would determine whether Britain held Norway or surrendered the north to Germany.
Morning, a narrow fjord. Gunfire echoes between mountain walls. Warspite's steel frame vibrates as 33,000 tons of armor and machinery shift into an attack stance. Tennant stands on the bridge. Ahead of him, depth charts, reconnaissance notes, wind readings, 14 knots. Crew strength, 1,100 men. Ahead, German destroyers, 10 of them, hidden in bends and shadows of the fjord. He gives the first command. Full ahead, range 12,000 yards. Warspite moves in. 1 second of silence, then a call. Contact! Destroyer Z-13 Eric Kulna spotted. Range 11,500 yards. 11,000. 9,800. Tennant knows the truth. His 15-inch main guns were designed for open ocean duels. Here, in tight waters, each blast shakes the cliffs. The shock ripples through the chests of the crew. He raises his hand. Open fire. Turrets A and B rotate into position. A thunderous salvo erupts. 6 1,920-pound shells, leaving the barrels at 2,500 feet per second. The fjord roars like the earth itself has cracked. First shell, short. Second,
long. Third, a direct hit. Kölner erupts in flame. Smoke pours from her deck as she loses power. German operators scream into the radio. "Their fire is exact! How are they seeing us?" They don't know. They can't know. They refuse to believe an obsolete battleship is using combined air-sea-fire coordination. The dominoes begin to fall. One destroyer, then a second, then a third. In only a few hours, Warspite helps annihilate 8 German destroyers, the greatest destroyer kill count by a battleship in naval history. And then comes the moment that defines the battle. A Luftwaffe dive bomber, descending from 2,000 meters, expects to see panic on Warspite's deck. Instead, he sees the ship turning smartly, firing precisely, knocking aircraft out of the sky with layered AA fire. He radios a line later preserved in British reports. "This is not a ship. This is an iron demon." Warspite presses forward. The fjord detonates with every shell. German crews desperately try to escape. Tennant studies the map. Range 4,500 yards. Finish it. Another salvo. Shells tear through the hull of Z-17 Dieter von Rode. The destroyer burns, lists, and sinks. And in that moment, Germany realizes they have no answer to Warspite.
If you find these forgotten corners of military history as fascinating as we do, we'd be honored if you'd hit that subscribe button. Stories of courage, risk, and brilliance deserve to be told, and by subscribing, you help ensure they're never lost. But the real impact wasn't immediate. By destroying Germany's destroyer force at Norvik, Warspite crippled their ability to protect convoys in northern waters. German supply lines slowed. British morale surged. The Luftwaffe rewrote its operational guidance after the battle. Pilots received a new directive: do not underestimate Queen Elizabeth-class battleships. British admirals gained something priceless: proof that older ships, when used boldly, could still dominate in a modern war. German naval analysts reviewing the wreckage were forced to admit Warspite possesses combat power we failed to account for. That failure cost them the fjords. After Norway, Warspite fought on. In Crete, Sicily, Salerno. She survived bombs, torpedoes, even guided missiles. A ship many thought belonged in a museum became a symbol of unbreakable resolve. Captain William Tennant later commanded the Dunkirk evacuation and rose to admiral. His calm leadership and unwavering trust in her ship defined Warspite's legend. Most of the sailors who stood on her deck in 1940 were 18 to 20 years old. Only a few remain today, but their stories, their courage, live on in moments like this. What Germany dismissed as obsolete became the nightmare that reshaped a campaign. If this story moved you, please tap the like button. Every click tells the algorithm this piece of history is worth remembering. We're dedicated to rescuing forgotten heroes and hidden events from the archives. If you want to join us, subscribe and turn on notifications. And tell us in the comments where you're watching from and whether someone in your family served. Every story matters. Thank you for ensuring that William Tennant and the 1,100 men of HMS Warspite do not fade into silence. They deserve to be remembered.